It's the planet stupid. No. It's the planet stupid.
It might be the planet stupid, but it's definitely the planet stupid. It is our segment with Belinda Waymouth. Welcome, Belinda.
Good morning. How is everybody?
Hey, everybody's pretty well. Yeah, I think we're all doing okay. Right, Kim? You're doing okay.
How are you?
Yeah, all right.
All's well over here.
Belinda, share with us what the hell is going on. We're in the world is in a desperate scramble for energy in Europe, as you know, with the winter having arrived and with Russian supplies of natural gas limited. There is a scramble to produce energy, and I'm seeing that Germany, for example, is continuing to phase out nuclear, but then you're getting now real pushback on the other side saying, wait, you can't phase out nuclear as planned anymore because look at the crisis we're dealing with energy. I see this energy issue increasingly taking center stage through the winter.
Yeah, the energy issue is huge. And I mean, we really, here's the thing about energy that we have to remember is that as the climate gets hotter, we're going to need more energy. We're going to be using, more air conditioning for these hot summers. And if we're not using clean, renewable energy to power those air conditioners, we are just exacerbating and making the planet hotter. So we really have to use renewables.
Well, it's a great point. I don't exacerbating. Thank you, Mr. Dingwer. But the point I wanted to make to what you've just said is Germany, for example, is burning the most dirty coal, if not the most. I mean, maybe the second most dirty coal. To fill in the gap on nuclear. That's why the Germany conversation about taking nuclear plants offline has become so reanimated. Because if you really care about the environment, they're saying, well, then why are you burning all this coal? This doesn't make any sense. You're going to take the nukes offline, but you're going to burn the dirty coal. You see it.
Yeah, no, it should be the other way around. And as you know, I'm not a big fan of nuclear, but here's the thing. Nuclear is, not putting CO2 into the atmosphere. Dirty coal is. And the other horrible thing that's happening in Europe is that, they want to burn wood in power plants. Well, don't be burning something where carbon is sequestered, in wood and then putting more CO2 into the atmosphere. And, as you know, here in California, we just had Biden step in and, give $1 billion to the Diablo Canyon power plant here, our last remaining nuclear power plant in California and Newsom was all for it, rather than it being retired in 2025. It's like, no, we need to keep it going till 2030. And the thing about Diablo, it provides 8% of California's electricity, but 17% of our, renewable clean energy. So nuclear, if it's already existing, yes, I sort of, can't believe I'm saying it, but yeah, it has to be part of the picture because it's not putting CO2 emissions into the atmosphere. And that's what we have to be concentrated on. All
right. So that's that. What else do you have for us today?
Oh, Mark, it's a really long list of stuff. So, what I said last week was, why don't we talk about the good things that happened in 2022? And I have to say this is pretty US centric, and obviously we talked a lot about COP24 and what happened there. But the biggest thing that happened in the US, and it was a huge message also to the rest of the world, was the Inflation Reduction Act, which earmarked, it was the most transformational clean energy bill in history, $370 billion, towards renewables, transition to renewables. There was an extra $60 billion to go to environmental justice issues. So this was really enormous, huge. And Biden should get, I think, a lot of popularity points for it, but that's a whole other issue. But here's the thing. So we've got now more solar being manufactured on US soil than ever before. Experts say, there has never been a better time to invest in domestic solar manufacturing. And this year, 2022, there was a record number, 27,000 people attended a solar trade show that happened in Anaheim. Now, it was the first in years because of COVID, there haven't been trade shows. So it was the first since 2019, excuse me, that people could gather and see all that's on offer. And, it's big, this is really big. We are making this transition. And one of the things that was included in the Inflation Reduction Act were all these things to incentivize households. So one of them is a rooftop solar tax credit. 30% of the total cost of installation you'll get back in tax credits. You'll also get 30% towards a tax credit if you need to upgrade your electricity panel in order to install the solar. You'll also get a 30% tax credit for battery storage that you install. And so, this is big. We saw California this year, because of the push from utilities, sort of pull back on incentives that the state was providing for homeowners to get their own solar. But the federal government is stepping in and saying, no, this is what we need to do. And the savings, obviously, on your electricity are huge. You get immunity to blackouts. And then if you're switching appliances in your house, and I get, as I say all this stuff, that not...
Oh, we lost her? She dropped out for a second? There she is.
Oh, did you lose me?
Oh, you dropped out. You said, there are all these benefits, and then you dropped out.
Oh, well. So, one of the things I wanted to say, and I think it's really important, is, I do realize when I say, hey, if you switch all your appliances to, electrical ones, that not every household can do that. But I'm just going to, paint, kind of big picture stuff, because one of the other things that people can do on a personal level, which, saves them money, and they also get this 30% tax credit if they do it, is installing heat pumps. And heat pumps, they are powered by electricity, so that's good. And the thing about them also is, they're also air conditioners. So they work, in two good ways. And when they're called, heat pumps, they're not actually a heater. What a heat pump does is it moves heat around. It's not using energy to create heat. So they're 3 to 5 times more efficient than a traditional fan.
What are they?
Well, so it's a long time.
It's a long. Okay. But I'd say I want to put a heat pump in the house. What am I saying? I want to put what's coming into the house.
So what you have with a heat pump is you have this thing on the wall, and it's basically a heat mover, and it does connect to a device outside. But what it will do is, say it's it's a hot, muggy night, and the heat inside the house, has been trapped and stayed in there. A heat pump will swap it out for the cool air that's outside. And
so is it a fan, or is it a smart fan, or what is it?
It sort of works like a fan. I mean, the thing about them is they're very quiet. A heat pump, they have an outside component, and that's where the whirring and all that kind of stuff goes on. What they look like is a unit in the wall, like a big sort of bigger air conditioner. But if you've never been in a hotel room where you've got a remote and you push it,
of course.
Yeah. So the little vents on it open, and then it starts, if the room is too hot, it will, it'll start moving that hot air out, replacing the cold air outside. I don't know. I knew you'd ask me the actual workings of them. I know that.
Well, I just didn't know what a heat. When you say, these heat pumps are great, and you get the credit, I'm thinking, I don't know what it is. So I don't know. I just thought we should start there. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Well, it looks like an air conditioner, but it's not doing what an air conditioner does. What it's doing is it's moving the hot air masses around and replacing them with cold if it's too hot inside, and then vice versa. Using a lot less energy. So they're pretty amazing, because one of the things with heating, so if you change to a heat pump, you can save up to $1,200 on heating bills a year. And they are stopping 1 to 8 metric tons of carbon going up into the atmosphere every year. And just for comparison, if you go vegan, you save 1 metric ton of carbon, but if you go heat pump, you can save up to 8.
Wow.
So they're pretty major. And of course, there's a lot of misinformation out there. People are saying, heat pumps don't work in cold temperatures, blah, blah, blah. You have to get someone who's really reputable and knowledgeable if you are going to install a heat pump. But one of the things they can do in cold temperatures, I just read this, they can heat a home even if it's minus 31 degrees Fahrenheit outside. So,
Wow.
yeah, they
Wow.
are.
Oh, I have to look into them myself. I mean, I don't know. It seems like that might be. We have listeners and viewers in cold weather states as well, so it might be the thing. But we're a hot weather state in California, so it might be appropriate here as well. We only have another minute or two, a couple of minutes. So I want to. Just want to keep you moving. I want to talk about heat pumps. They seem sexy and cool, but I got to get you to the rest of the list.
Yeah. No, there's so many things. So a study just came out, which I thought was pretty cool, saying that if there are climate warnings on a fast food menu, customers are 23% less likely to order the beef if it says beside the beef, hey, this, is going to contribute to climate change if you eat this, beef hamburger. And customers are 10% more likely to opt for chicken or fish when those items are marked as climate friendly. So I think that, consumer choices and knowledge, I think all those things are on the rise. And then we've got this, huge, all these, millennials and Gen Zers, they came out to vote. We had, almost a third of 18 to 29-year-olds who cast ballots in 2022. And they're very concerned about the climate. And they're the people who are reading these menus and going, oh, hey, maybe I'm not going to have a regular hamburger. Maybe I'll have an Impossible Burger, because of the effect that it has on the climate. So I think those things are good.
I think that's a really good point, too, because you may think, those of you watching and those of us who, I know all my friends, they wouldn't give a damn about something on the menu, but, they're going to order their steak or whatever, no matter what. But Gen Zs and millennials probably a little more sensitive to that and to the effects on the environment. It's interesting. I don't know what restaurants will put that in a menu, but that said, still that information, just in general, those generations may be more sensitive to it. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, and the other thing also was that they were energized to come out and vote, which I think is really amazing, because the fact that, Democrats held on to the Senate, that's another big thing that happened for the environment. I mean, I know that, Democrats lost the House, and that's big, but I feel like, we'll be able to, or the Democrats will be able to sort of hold the line, as far as environmental things go, hopefully. We've still got Joe Manchin trying to get his dirty deal through, but, he keeps on trying to hide it in these other bills, and all these environmental groups are really aware of it. So they keep stopping him. So I think having young voters out there is amazing. And I've got to say, real kudos to our firefighters and to what happened in California in 2022. So in 2022, yes, we did lose 350,000 acres to fires, but in 2020 and 2021, it was 1 million plus and 4 million plus acres that burned. And this year, because of forest thinning and controlled burns, they were able to really minimize the amount of acreage that was lost to forest fires. And I think that's really big, because this stuff is happening, Mark. I mean, you know me, I want to paint the rosiest picture I can, for the planet. But we are going to have, the drought's going to continue, the fires are going to continue, but we're getting smarter. And I think that's a really important thing to focus on. And one last thing I want to say is, everybody, even though it's been raining, conserving water is super important, because hydropower is also a renewable energy source. And as our rivers, the Colorado dries up more, that'll be less hydropower. So conserving water is still super important.
You've said some things that have provoked conversation in the chat. I will put it aside until your next visit, which will be next week. I will note in the chat, all of you who are talking about eating beef and geothermal pumps and other things related to energy conservation, etc. I'll put it all aside, but I will note it. I'll go back and I will note in the chat, so don't worry. I'll bring these things up with Belinda. Maybe you want to take a look at it as well in replay, Belinda, because these are, I think, oftentimes sensible things we talk about. But even as you yourself, and when you started this conversation, said, well, look, I'm sensitive to environmental issues, but I'm also sensitive to the needs right now and not taking the nuclear plants offline, for example, in Germany, to replace the gap with dirty coal burning. So there's a give and take, and there are certain realities and practicalities and logistics that have to be respected right now. So I love these conversations because they do take a certain ideal and we try to apply it to the situation and make it practical. So I think that's one of the virtues of this conversation that we have weekly. We have to wrap up. I want to thank you. It's been a great year. I love that this year brought you good health, and I'm counting on the next year doing similarly and our regular weekly visits continuing. So appreciate you being here. Belinda Waymouth, everybody. Belinda.
Thank you so much, and happy New Year to everybody.
Happy New Year indeed.